Hello friends. So today in this session we'll be discussing about destructor. Destructor is a very important function of a class in object-oriented programming. When we create a class, the class must have one default constructor and one and only destructor. The destructor works exactly opposite to that of constructor. The constructor reserves the resources like memory and other requirements of the object, and destructor frees all those resources which are used by the object of a class. Suppose we create an object, it requires some memory, it may require some file, it may point to a printer. So once the work is over, the program is about to end or the function is about to end in which the object is created, so that resource must be freed. The memory must be freed, or the printer must be freed, or the file which has been accessed must be freed. So destructor is a very important function of a class which releases the resources like memory and any other hardware resources required by the object when once the use of that object is over in the program. So let us see destructor in action. I'll share my screen so that you can see the programs that we want to discuss. So here we have one program on your screen. This is the class laptop. This class has one variable rate, and it has a default constructor, it has a parameterized constructor, and then we have at line number 16, you can see we have a destructor. A destructor is very much similar to that of a default constructor, except that it starts with a tilde symbol. This is a symbol which is just below the escape character usually in the keyboard, and this is called tilde. So the laptop word is starting with tilde symbol, and the public function becomes a destructor. So destructor is a public function of a class. There can be only one destructor in the class, and it usually releases the resources which are used by the object of the class. So here we have in this program, we have this destructor starting at line number 16, and once we come to the main function, here we create the object of the class laptop. Once the object is created, then you can see this is the memory which will be required by this object. So this memory will be reserved, and the variable rate will be stored, assigned a value 65,000. Then we call the show function. It will show the value 65,000 on a screen, and next there is no other line. That means the program is about to end. Before the program ends, this memory which has been used by this object must be freed so that other programs and other users can use that memory. So for that, there is a function there should be a function in a class which is called destructor, which will release all those resources which has been used by this object. So let us save this program. I'll compile this. And now let's execute this. So here you can see once the object is created, it reserves the memory. The value 65,000 is then stored there by the constructor. Show function will display that value, and the destructor is called automatically. We don't call the destructor function, it is called automatically as soon as the work of that object or the scope of that object is over. So let us compare constructor and destructor. What is a constructor? Constructor is a function. It is a public function of a class that constructs the object. It initializes the variables, reserves the memory, other resources. And destructor is a public function which is called at the end of the program, usually when the function is about to over or is about to return, and it releases all the resources which has been used by that object. Usually the resources we use in a program are memory, then we can use file when we are dealing with file handling programs, and we can reserve printer also for the object if we have to print something. So all those resources can be released in the destructor function. Important point here is that every class must have a destructor, and there can be only one destructor. In case of constructor, we can have three types of constructor: the default constructor, the parameterized constructor, and the copy constructor. But in case of destructor, there can be only one destructor. Destructor cannot have any parameters, so we cannot have multiple destructors. And the calling is just reversed. As soon as the object is created, the constructor is called, and when the work is over, when the program is about to end or the function is about to end in which the object has been created, the destructor function is automatically invoked, called, and it releases the resources. Okay, so now in this program, you have seen how the memory is getting released automatically. The message memory released from the constructor is printed on the screen, but we have not used a single line related to destructor in the main function. It is getting invoked automatically. Now, coming back to the program, we'll do some changes in this program. Now, suppose I create one more object here, laptop 2. Let us pass 75,000 value to this object. We can call L2.show to display the rate of the laptop L2. Now, what will happen? Once the program will end, there are two memories which has been reserved in the program, one for L1 object and one for L2 object. The L2 object will have a rate variable with the value 75,000. Now this memory is also this also should be released. So two times destructor will be called. First, the destructor will be called for the L2 object, and then it will be called for the L1 object. The constructor is also called twice. Once we create L1 object, the constructor is called with the value 65,000, and when we have when we create L2, it is again called with the value 75,000. So this is how we create destructors, and the execution is also done for each object. Now we'll stop here. We have discussed about constructor and destructor. We'll make some points related to constructor and destructor. We'll have a comparison also. Thank you very much. Before that, let us see the output of this program. See here, you can see two times the destructor getting called. So this is how we use destructor in our program. Thank you.